Peace, community. Today we're going over the exact verbatim testimony of Kira McPherson during my trial. I'm basically gonna go through all of the testimony of those who did testify. You know, people are asking, we ain't forget this part. This part ain't gonna never go away. So we ain't even gonna waste your time because this stuff is kind of long. So we're gonna get right on it.
Good morning, everyone. It's Michelle's, and yeah, this is juicy. I was privy to get to read a lot of this, and it gets deep. So I just really want to get really into it because I know how I felt reading it, and it really felt like I was there in the courtroom. But at that exact moment that you was going through all of this, how exactly did you feel?
Well, when I'm sorry, let me just say this. Like, a part of me was still in shock through the whole trial, through the whole arrest, through everything. I was like, is this really happening? And then I'm thinking of how it's playing out, and I'm thinking like, this ain't gonna be this is not how my life ends. I'm not gonna do the rest of my life in jail because of this. All the money I've made a lot of money over the years, you know, and if I have not something like that, I'm facing all this time for something like that. So to myself, I'm thinking like, something is gonna happen because this ain't right. So something is gonna happen. Somebody's gonna recognize and see because it's plain to see, and this is gonna all be over. When I heard her name, I really didn't know her. I don't know her. So this is what I do know about her. I know her mother. Me and her mother was very close. My mother was a customer of mine for years. I never knew that was her mother until I gave them a fish, and I put a fish tank together for them during that time when I was into all of that. And I went to her house, and then I realized who her mother was. So, anyway, I really don't know her. So I didn't know what her intentions was when she came to court. I didn't know anything about her being a rat, already working for the police, her setting people up on the West Coast and all of that type of stuff, getting involved, connecting the dots for the feds from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Right.
She was already doing all of this, but I didn't know none of this until I got her paperwork. So when they first gave it to me and they said, you know Kira McPherson, I'm like, no. And then they gave it to me, and I look and I see her picture with her name and everything. So I'm thinking, good. Maybe this is somebody who might come up here and, they're going to ask to lie and she might fuck up or, help me out.
Right.
Then I started looking through her paperwork to prepare a defense just in case. And now I'm seeing her being arrested with trafficking, breaking federal law by violating interstate commerce. Interstate commerce is crossing state lines, committing a crime. Whether it's guns, drugs, sex trafficking, anything that goes from one state to the other is federal. And that was a part of the case too. So now I'm reading her shit. I'm like, oh shit. This bitch is a rat. So I really couldn't have a feeling at the time. I just had to prepare. I knew I had to prepare.
But you knew that you didn't have no dealings with her, so it was almost like you felt like, but you were still worried.
I was only worried because I know the game. This is high stakes. I'm in federal trial.
Right.
I don't think this lady's gonna have all these charges and come here and play these type of games. Me reading her charges let me know that she was headhunting. She was coming in here to put the work in for the police. That was her job.
So when she first walked into court, when they told you that she was gonna be the next person to get on the witness stand, and she came into the court, did you guys did you lock eyes? Did you say anything? Did you anything?
We did. But listen, when you're in court, especially federal court, there's
Mhm.
people watching you
Right.
because the jurors is in there. And they're sensitive to the jurors. They don't want the jurors seeing anything that's not. You're not supposed to make any expressions. You're not supposed to make eye contact or anything that can look intimidating towards a witness or anything. And being that said, I was my own lawyer too.
Right.
So it was extra pressure on me, But this is what happened when we did get a chance to lock eyes. As she's coming in to settle in, I guess she broke a leg or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it says that
she came in a wheelchair. Yeah, she came in a wheelchair. So I'm looking at her bring her in, and she's not really looking at me, But when she gets on the stand and settles down, then she looks at me. But when I look at her, the jurors is looking at her, look at me. I look at the jurors now; they're looking at me to see if me and her got. So I look away. I don't say anything. But during the case of the trial, like a break or something, where they had to get paperwork or some type of evidence, we caught that eye contact, and I looked at her like you serious? You really?
Yeah.
She looked at me and was like, I ain't going to jail. I ain't going to jail. Like, nigga, you gonna go. I ain't going to jail. It wasn't no, oh, I got subpoenaed and I have to do this.
Yeah.
She told me, she looked at me and said, I'm not going to jail. So.
That's crazy. So she is. The stuff that I read is just...
Well, you can go over some of it. You can read it before we discuss it.
Yeah, okay. So
start from the beginning.
So basically, it's right now. It's just saying it's introducing her. It's asking her, what happened to her leg. She broke her leg. She's a CNA. She was asked to point you out in court. She described what you had on, and she said that you and Kareem LeMay were best friends,
which was not true,
and that they was in a situationship. She also said that she was driving him places, and that's basically how she met you was through him.
Yes.
So then she goes on to say that he was trying to be a drug dealer, and she's telling that he was trying to sell crack, cocaine.
Wait, can you before you get into that, does it say why she's testifying about her case? I want you to read that. When they're asking her about her 501k.
We don't get to that part yet. They're going to ask her that in a minute.
All right, I just didn't want to miss that.
Yeah, we're not going to miss that. That was stuff that I highlighted. Okay, so this right here, and you jumped ahead of me. So they asked her, they said, before we go any further, I want to ask you, are you testifying here today pursuant to a cooperation agreement with the government? And she says yes. They say, does that cooperation agreement stem from an arrest you had in late 2021? She says yes. Where were you arrested? Oklahoma, Camden County. She was charged in connection with conspiracy to distribute over 500 grams of powder cocaine. And she said yes. And he says, and let's be clear, that crime that you were arrested for in 2021 didn't involve Mr. LeMay or you. And she said no.
Right.
I have to read all of this. I have to go through it and read all of this because this part to me just really was crazy. So she says that they were not involved in her Oklahoma crime. They say, what were you doing with cocaine in Oklahoma in December of 2021? And she says, transporting it across country. Where did you pick it up? Los Angeles. Where were you doing this for? Another drug dealer? Yeah. Where were you taking it to? North Carolina. Is it fair to say you knew this drug dealer
That's why she's so fat. That bitch been eating a lot of cheese. That bitch been eating buckets of cheese, y'all.
They asked, was the drug dealer doing some of his business on Long Island? And she said yes. And then they said, and when you did these things, did you know it was illegal to possess cocaine? Yes. And how much cocaine did you have? She said 3 kilos.
Which is, let me stop you there. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
A kilo is 1,003 grams. Most dealers will argue that it's 1,000, but it's supposed to be 1,003 grams, which weighs to 2.2 pounds is a kilo. So if she got caught with 3 kilos, that would be 6.6 pounds of cocaine. She was only charged with 500 grams. So that means that 2.5 keys she wasn't charged with.
Right. Now, this is why all of this is important, and this is why I have to read this. So they say, she said, ultimately, you mentioned your arrest. Were you charged in Oklahoma federally? Yes. Did there come a point in time where, after your arrest, where you were allowed to return home to Long Island on bail? Yes. Following your return to Long Island, did there come a point in time where you agreed in May of 2022 to meet with members of the local law enforcement and the FBI along with your attorney? Yes. Did you have one meeting or several meetings? Several. And what did you discuss generally during these meetings? I admitted to all the crimes I partaken in.
See, I told you, once you become a rat, that's the first thing you got to do. This ain't a subpoena. A subpoena just say, you got to be in court on this day.
Right.
That's all a subpoena is. You don't go meet with the government and sit down and admit your crimes for a subpoena. That has nothing to do with this. She tried to post a subpoena on her page like, oh, I only went because I was subpoenaed. No. A subpoena means, this is a subpoena. Domestic violence. If me and you got into a fight, a woman and a man, and during the course of the trial, the woman decides not to go to trial and the man is going to win, the DA will try to subpoena the complaining witness to come testify against him so they don't lose. If she does not come, there's literally really nothing they could do but give her a fine, hold her for contempt of court or something like that. She did not come to court on a subpoena. She came on a 5-1K. And that is to put other people in jail so she doesn't have to go.
And I'm going to get to that part, but I have to pause real quick here, because what's really crazy to me is everybody knows that Oklahoma is a red state. Everybody knows Oklahoma is a red state. Our black asses don't got no business in Oklahoma.
When she say red state, of course, if it's a Republican state, it's a white state, racist state.
Yes. And to just, it's crazy that
to get caught with
three keys of cocaine,
0.6 pounds
of pure cocaine, and you are out and I'm going ahead. So the attorney says, he shows her. So he said, I admitted to all of the crimes I partaken in, and prior to entering into those meetings, did you sign any agreements with the government? She said yes. So before she even, she had already was meeting with the government before that. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification only as 3500 KMP-2 and 3500 KMP-3. They approach the bench, they hand him an exhibit, the court hands an exhibit, and it says, Miss McPherson, do you recognize these documents? She says yes. What are those? This is basically telling, like, my agreement is a proffer agreement? What is that?
Proffer.
What is that?
A proffer is you telling what happened in a crime, what part you played, You basically you sit down at the table with a bunch of cheese.
Okay.
You know, that's why she big as a motherfucker.
Okay.
Fat head bitch.
Does that agreement give you protection in those meetings you had with the government? She said yes. What protections do you understand those agreements to give you? Just immunity from the crimes that I partaken in.
Who? Immunity is you don't get charged with it. Everybody else get charged, but you get no charges. Not on your record. It ain't probation. Immunity is full walk away. Immunity.
Specifically for the proffered meetings, when you say immunity, what does that mean? Your statements can't be used against you. She said correct. And do these agreements allow you to talk openly with the government? Yes. Again, for these meetings, was your attorney present? Yes. How did you mention? Now you mentioned you told the government about crimes you partaken in. Did you tell them about crimes committed by other individuals that you were aware of? Yes.
Oh, sorry. That's her admitting that she is telling.
Right.
She's under oath in federal court on direct examination. When we go at her and question her, that's called cross-examination. So right now, she's being questioned by her party. This is the government. This is who she's testifying for. This is the government's witness. So everything they ask her, she has to tell the truth. As if to benefit them. Put it that way.
Now this part is juicy. It says, did you tell them information about Mr. LeMay and Mr. Langhorne? Yes. Were those the only individuals you discussed, or did you discuss others? I discussed others.
So, you out there fucking with her, around her. Yeah. She talking about you, and you, and you, and you, and you.
You mentioned other crimes that you admitted to during the course of those meetings. Did you include helping to traffic drugs across the country? What you were arrested for? Yes. So there are literally people that are sitting in prison probably for the rest of their lives from California to New York, literally across the country.
Oh, and with federal, when you testify against in federal court, you don't get your deal until the deal is done. When everybody's done and in jail and the case is sealed, that's when your 501k is activated. So for her to be around and doing all this shit, people are in jail because of her. For years, some for the rest of their life. This is how serious this is. Not because they were doing wrong and they did something that got caught. No, because she was doing wrong. She decided to partake in this type of lifestyle. You chose. You knew what you was getting into. You know the cost.
Did you also admit to assisting various drug dealers in collecting drug money? Yes. Dropping off drugs? Yes. Essentially helping to sell drugs? Yes. Did you also admit to possession and use of marijuana prior to its legalization in New York? Yes.
Oh. She never did none of that for me. So all these questions that she's being asked are not about me.
And that's the crazy.
These are about other drug dealers that she's been dealing with. These are other people that she's been telling on. I'm the butt end of this shit.
It's crazy because as thick as this is, and a lot of this is Kira's testimony that's in this folder right here. And as I read it, I kept asking him, but where's the testimony about you? I'm not understanding this. Why are we talking about her United States drug escapades and going across country and she says she was the drug queen pin? Why are we talking about all of this stuff? I want to know what crime that she was involved in with you. It just did not make any sense to me, this whole entire testimony. Why? And if you literally, this is the thing that I read in all of this stuff and really getting a first-hand look of it. That's why I said I really felt like I was in the courtroom as I was reading all of your paperwork, because it gave you a sense of they trying to confuse everybody, because they literally talk about everything and everybody else, and it's maybe 5 minutes in your whole entire court case where they're talking about you. It's not about you. It's about everything and everybody else.
I can explain that very clearly.
It's almost like they was trying to confuse everybody.
I'll explain. All right, look. In a scenario like that, where you got people that are everyday people that's in the jurors, they're not savvy to the law. They could just watch a movie and come up with their own emotion about who they think is wrong and if the bad guy was justified. So that was a smokescreen. That was just to bring up all the drugs and the trafficking and the effects that it have and how big it is and how deep it is. So they're setting these people in a drug world state of frame in the mind. They're bringing them into that world where now when they look at me, that's what they're connecting me to. I might not have been involved with that, but this is the type of stuff that he's involved because she was involved with him.
Right.
And this is what she's been doing.
Right.
So automatically that gives them a tilt towards when they look at me like black. Already I'm 250 pounds, 6 foot, bald head. I'm already a white man nightmare. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's basically what that was. That was just to confuse them and connect them into the drug game. But they couldn't do that with me because they had nothing on me. So they had to use these other people to connect them to the drug game. They couldn't use me because I didn't do anything.
So they said, do you also admit to the unlawful possession and use of the drug ecstasy on one occasion? She said yes. Now, other than the incident in Oklahoma that you were arrested for in December 2021, were you arrested prior to that? She said no. Had you ever been charged with a crime before? No. Fair to say, before testifying here today, you saw certain videos, showings depicting you involved in certain criminal conduct? Yes. Other than that, those videos and the arrest in Oklahoma, how did the government find out about the other crimes you were involved in? I told them. Why did you do that? Because you have to admit your guilt. When you were engaging in these...
Wait, I'm sorry. Read that again.
It says, why did you do that? And she said, because you have to admit your guilt.
Oh, recap. Now, if you go back to my videos, where I talk about my very first video about my transcripts and about me going to trial and saying that you can't go to trial if you're a rat. You understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm ratting, I have to admit my guilt. I have to say this, this, and this. Once I do that and sign that paper, if I decide to say, nah, I ain't snitching, and I'm going to go to trial. Okay, you want to go to trial? Because you literally can go. What I mean by is you can't go and win. Because what they're going to do, they're going to bring that paper that you signed and admitted your guilt to all your crimes. And they're going to say, hey, is this you? Did you admit this? Did you take part in this crimes? And then you're done. And anything after that, once you admit, the jurors ain't going to believe nothing you say.
So it says, she says, when you were engaging in these meetings, were you hoping to eventually receive a cooperation agreement? She said yes. Ultimately, did you plead guilty pursuant to a cooperation agreement? Yes. I'm now going to show you what is marked as 3500 KMP-1. They give her something and they said, Ms. McPherson, do you recognize government's exhibit 3500 KMP-1? Yes. What is it? This is the part that he was starting to talk about. It's a cooperation agreement. It has what I pled to, the minimum term of imprisonment and the fine. How do you know?
Oh, now this is how they get you when I say you can't go to trial, because you plead guilty to the crime already, to the time, and to whatever fines they give you for the courts. So that means when you take your plea back, you already pled guilty. When you try to go to trial, you already guilty because you pled guilty to get your 501k. So can you recap that one more time so they can hear that, please?
It's a cooperation agreement. It has what I pled to,
Meaning?
the minimum term of imprisonment and the fine.
Okay.
How do you know that's your cooperation agreement? Because I've seen it multiple times. I want to direct your attention to the last page. Is that your signature on the document? Yes. Is this a fair and accurate copy of your agreement? Yes. They hand over the paperwork, and then he says, other than the cooperation agreement and the proffer agreement, do you have any other agreements with the government? No. What does the cooperation agreement require you to do? Tell the truth. Does it require you to also plead guilty to certain crimes? Yes. What crimes did you plead guilty to? To drug conspiracy. And if you fully comply with the terms of the cooperation agreement, what is it that you hope to get? Leniency. When you say leniency, what do you mean by that? Less time. The crime you pleaded guilty to, what amount of time are you facing, to your knowledge? She was facing 5 to 40 years, but that's 5 to 40 years for her crimes in New York.
On each charge.
Right, and I want y'all to remember that this 5 to 40 is what were these crimes that were in New York. The Oklahoma stuff is gonna come back up, and pay attention because that is gonna be very important. That's 5 years at the minimum, yes, and 40 years at the max, yes. In your agreement, does it discuss something called the 501k letter? Yes. What is your understanding of what a 501k letter is? It basically can make the judge go under the mandatory minimum.
The judge go underneath the mandatory minimum, which means a mandatory is 5. A mandatory is 5. No, all right. Her maximum is 40 years, and her mandatory is 5. So again, she can be sentenced anywhere between 5 years to 40 years. Now, with her telling with this 501k, it gives the judge to go underneath, the power to go underneath her guidelines, which would be the 5 years. The judge can give her underneath 5 years for her cooperation with the government. So, with her testimony and testifying against me, would gain her grace of the judge to go under her mandatory minimum, which is to be 5 years. So that's what that means.
And what do you understand goes into the 501k letter? Just like the cooperation, me telling the truth about the crimes I was involved in. Does it also advise the court of the crimes you admitted to? Yes. Now, if you get a 501k letter to your knowledge, does the judge have to reduce your sentence? No. Does the government have any control over whether or not the sentence gets reduced? No. And does your cooperation agreement depend in any way on whether or not the defendant is convicted in this case? No.
Because she already testified.
Right. Does it also discuss something called witness security? Yes. What is that to your knowledge? I guess witness protection or something. Is that something that you requested? No. Is that in the agreement that the government will ask for if you do request it? Yes.
Oh. Now, this is the deep part right here. This is how messed up it is for people to know how comfortable they can be after ruining so many people's lives. It's not, no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. All these people played their part, and that is a part of the game, right? But when it comes down to the individual that's playing the game, And there's rules to every game. There's supposed to be. Football, basketball, being a cop, being a secretary, being a cashier. There's rules to every game. Now here you oppose yourself as to going to the rules, going by the rules of the game. But you got people that might be selling drugs, but they're not selling drugs for rims or for stupid shit like that. They're paying mortgages. They're paying tuitions for kids in school and college and taking care of families, and they're about their business. Their income might be illegal, but that money is doing the same thing that the man that's working is doing. The person who never broke a law, who never thought about breaking the law, their money is doing the same thing that they're doing. Does it overflow and allow them to have a better lifestyle? Yes, it does. It's a lucrative business. But that's what it is. That's what it is.
So she says, in the community in which you live, how are people who cooperate with the government viewed as a snitch?
They're so comfortable with it, though.
Do you have any concerns for your safety testifying today? Yes. Why is that? Because it's like frowned upon. That girl was never in fear for her safety, because if you was, you would be out there doing the stuff you doing. You would be in hiding.
But this is the funny stuff.
That's crazy.
You know how many people...
It's like an oxymoron. You don't want witness protection, but you fear for your life. Girl, shut up.
But listen to this, though. Hold on. This is the crazy part, right? Now, you got people that's messaging me from everywhere, right? Yo, can you do this? Can you show this? Can you do that? But these are the same people that's dealing with her. I'm not going to say her specifically, with snitches. Because there's a whole bunch of y'all running around, and people are embracing y'all, and I can understand for those who aren't a part of the game, and, you know, I'm a working person. I don't got nothing to do with that snitching shit. You know, and I probably would have snitched. I can get that coming from a civilian. So we're not talking about them. I'm talking about you law-breaking motherfuckers that's like me. That's who I'm talking about. I don't understand this shit. You know, I'm really cut from a different cloth. Snitching wasn't like this before. When a motherfucker snitched before, they got up out of Dodge. If they didn't get gotten, you motherfuckers is going to Walmart with the fucking neighborhood snitch. I'm just saying, though.
So she says, because it's like frowned upon, and now you mentioned that the cooperation agreement requires you to tell the truth. Do you understand what the consequences are if you're not truthful during your testimony and during your cooperation? Yes. What are the consequences as you understand them? I will go to jail for the full amount of time. My deal goes away. What about the 501k letter? I could not get it. What about witness security? I could not get it. In the event you not getting the 501k letter, what is the mandatory minimum term that you must serve as you understand it? 5 years to 10 years. What is your understanding? 10 years. Are you not sure? Yeah, I'm not. Does it say in your agreement? I see 5 to 40. Does it say which one is the minimum? The minimum is 5. I want to ask you before you start meeting with the government during the proffers in 2022, have you ever cooperated with law enforcement in the past? No. Have you ever worked as a confidential informant with law enforcement in the past? No. Now I want to talk to you specifically about your time that you were in the relationship or situationship, as you refer to it, with Mr. LeMay.
Okay, we're going to stop here. Okay. Now, we're going to discuss a little bit. We're going to stop right there and come back at another time. But the point is this. For those people like me who understand the law and what it was made for, why cops even exist. How many people really know why cops exist? Okay. I'm going to just say this. Cops exist because they were started to catch runaway slaves. That's what the police come from. Police started by catching runaway slaves. They were catching black people, killing them, or taking them back, or selling them. This is what the police did. And if you wonder why there's so much negativity and just disgusting activity in the police stations, because this is what it was founded on. This is what it was founded on. So when you in the street and you decide to break the law, you get up and you put one foot in front of the other to go commit that crime. You are aware of what you're doing. You understand. What is it in your heart? What is it in your soul to allow you to be such a piece of shit to where you say, you know what? You know, I know fella's a drug dealer or he did this, but look, whatever he did for me, which was nothing for her because I did no business with her, but she's not the only one who told on me. Because I'm going to go back and expose everybody who told on me every time I went to jail. Because I never got caught with anything. Every time I went to jail was because somebody else set me up. Yeah. But I know if I ask you how you sleep, I know what you're going to say. On my side of the Posturepedic.
Not the Posturepedic.
Because y'all can do it. Y'all can snitch on a motherfucker and get a good night's sleep. I don't get it. But what I don't get is, you motherfuckers, law-breaking motherfuckers, how do you deal with that? That's going to be a segment that I'm having later with a good couple people that, that grew up in the Greens in the hood. They're going to come on here later on tonight, and we're going to do a segment, and we're going to just discuss how this shit goes. I don't get it. I'm not wishing harm or violence on nobody, no. But I'm just trying to understand the G code. Do we not live by that no more?
I guess not.
That was a fad, or that wasn't a rule? I don't get it. Because when I go look on Facebook and on social media and I see somebody to shake my hand that's at a party with a snitch, a known snitch, I don't want you to shake my hand no more. So, you know who you are. You hanging with them fucking rats, and you rats know who you are, because you're going to make it up here. I'm just waiting for your paperwork, boy. I got all y'all locked up. All y'all on this motherfucker. So, you dealing with them. If you are a civilian, cool. But if you're not, don't speak to me. I don't give a fuck how long we known each other. I don't care how cool we been. I don't care what the bloodline represent. To me, when you do that, that severs all ties. You fucking with a snitch, you affiliate, you snitch, you affiliate. That severs ties. There's nothing else for us to talk about. I don't give a fuck about our history. As far as I'm concerned, you can forget about me. Because we ain't going to sit around and laugh on them good old days no more. Because we done. So this segment is going to be later on. I'm going to have some OGs up here with me. But I just wanted to touch that part so you guys can get an understanding before I come with the rest.
Yeah.
So we're going to end this segment right now. I'm going to let her end it and say what she got to say.
Yeah, we're going to finish this because the juicy part is coming up with the real testimony now that all of the legal stuff is out of the way. Yeah. The real testimony is going to be in the next segment, which is going to be in the next couple of days. To finish this testimony, because it definitely gets way more juicier than this. And I hope y'all are really following the law, because it gets crazy. It definitely gets crazy. You're in for a treat. So stay tuned. This is Michelle's
fella, of course, and we said peace community.
Peace community.
And stay tuned.